And that concludes the court's explanation of the legal aspects of this case. And now, gentlemen of the jury, I come to my final instruction to you. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimony and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy you your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, let's move along, fellas.
Want some gum?
No, thanks.
I phoned up for the weather today. It's the hottest day of the year.
Oh, terrific.
Think they could at least air condition this place. I almost dropped dead in the courtroom.
All right, gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you need, I'll be right outside. Just now.
Great, thank you.
Well, I never knew they locked the door.
Sure they locked the door. What do you think?
I don't know, it just never occurred to me.
Hey, what's that for?
Well, I thought we might want to vote by ballot.
Oh, great idea. Maybe we can get him elected senator, huh?
How'd you like it?
I don't know, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah? I was falling asleep.
Well, I mean, I've never been on a jury before.
Oh yeah? I sat on juries before. It always amazes me the way these lawyers can talk and talk and talk. Even on a case as obvious as this one. I mean, it never hurts so much to talk about nothing.
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Well, sure, everybody's entitled to a fair trial. That's the system. Listen, I'm the last one to say anything against it. But sometimes I think we'd all be better off if we took these tough kids and smacked them down before they made any trouble. Know what I mean? Save us time and money.
All right, let's get going here. What do you say?
Well, I thought we might want to take a 5-minute break. I mean, the old man's in the restroom, so...
Are we gonna sit in order?
I don't know. What do you think?
Not a bad view, huh? What'd you think of the case? Had a lot of interest for me. No dead spots, you know what I mean? We were lucky to get a murder case, huh? Oh, yeah, I mean, I figured us for, you know, burglary, assault, something like that. Those can be, ugh, the dullest, right? Say, isn't that the Woolworth building?
That's right.
You know what's funny? I've lived here all my life, never been in it.
Goddamn waste of time.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Sitting here for 3 days just for this.
What about that bill with the knife? Expecting grown-ups to believe that kind of bullshit.
Yeah. You gotta learn to expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose so. Got a cold?
Oh, yeah. And how? These hot weather colds will kill you.
Yeah, they will.
I can hardly touch my nose, you know what I mean?
Whoa, whoa. The horn works. Now check the lights. Oh, great. The fan's not even working. Somebody take a letter to the mayor. Dear Stingy.
Let me take a look at it.
Say, I didn't get a chance to read the newspapers today. Anything new going on?
I was just wondering how the market closed.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. What, are you on the exchange or something?
I'm a broker.
Yeah, I run a messenger service. The Beck and Call Company. The name was my wife's, I think. I employed 37 people. Started with nothing.
Mr. Foreman, let's get going here. What do you say?
Yeah, all right. Let's take our seats, gentlemen.
Hope this goes fast. Got tickets to a ball game tonight. Yankees in Cleveland. We've got this new kid pitcher, the Mujolowski. He's a real bull, this kid. Real junkhead. You're quite the ball fan, aren't you? All right. So where do you want us to sit?
Well, I thought we might want to sit in order, by jury number. 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. That's okay with you, gentlemen?
What's the difference?
I think it's reasonable to sit according to number.
Over here. 7's on the end, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Good.
Hey, so what was your impression of the prosecuting attorney?
I beg your pardon?
I mean, I thought he was really sharp, I mean, the way he hammered home his points, one by one in logical sequence. I mean, come on. Takes a good brain to do that, I was very impressed.
Yes, I think he did an expert job.
I mean, he had a lot of drive, too, you know what I mean? Real drive.
Let's get this show on the road. Come on.
Yeah, all right. Do you mind taking your seat? Gentlemen at the window. Do you mind taking your seat? I'm sorry. Great, thank you.
Pretty tough to figure, isn't it, huh? Kid kills his father, bang, just like that.
I mean, if you analyze the figures,
What figures? It's those people, I'm telling you. They let the kids run wild up there. Maybe it serves them right, you know what I mean?
Hey, kid, you a Yankee fan?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. It's like getting hit in the head every day with a crowbar in Milwaukee. Who do they got? I'm asking you, who do they got except maybe some good groundskeepers?
All right, oh, we'd like to get started. Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, right over here.
Milwaukee.
All right, gentlemen. You can handle this any way you'd like. I'm not going to have any rules or anything. We can discuss it and then vote, or we can vote right now and see where we stand.
I believe it's customary to take a preliminary vote.
All right, let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home. Right?
It's easy.
Just remember, we have a first-degree murder charge here. We vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. Now that's mandatory.
I think we all know that.
All right. This has to be a 12-0 vote, either way. Everybody okay with that?
Come on, let's vote.
Yeah.
Let's see who's where. Yeah.
All those voting guilty, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 votes guilty. All those voting not guilty, raise your hand. Right. 1 vote not guilty. Votes 11-1 in favor of guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Well, boy, there's always one.
What are we doing now?
Well, I guess we talk.
Boy, oh boy.
Now, do you really think he's innocent?
I don't know.
Well, let's be reasonable. You sat in the courtroom, heard the same thing we did. The man is a dangerous killer. You could see it.
The man, he's 19 years old.
Well, that's old enough. He knifed his own father. 4 inches into his chest.
I mean, it's obvious. I was convinced from the first day.
Well, who wasn't? Look, I really think this is one of those open and shut things.
That's right.
They proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you?
No,
Then what do you want?
nothing. I just want to talk.
Talk. What's there to talk about? We all agreed. We didn't have to think twice about it. No one except you.
I want to ask you something. Now, do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
Well, then what did you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without at least talking about it
Who
first.
says it's easy for me?
No one.
Yeah, you can talk. You know what, just because I voted fast, I think he's guilty. You can talk for 100 years. You're not going to change my mind.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just, we're talking about somebody's life here. We can't decide in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong.
Suppose we're wrong. You can suppose anything. We all believe he's guilty, so suppose it takes us 5 minutes to finish. So what?
Look, let's take an hour. Your ball game doesn't start till 8 o'clock.
All right, Slugger, you're up.
All right. Who's got something to say? How about you?
Not me.
I'm willing to put in an hour.
All right.
Right. Well, I heard a pretty good story last night. This woman comes running into the doctor's office, stripped to the waist,
That's
and she
not what we're
says,
sitting here for.
all right, well, you tell me, what are we sitting here for?
I don't know. Look, this boy's been kicked around his whole life. You know, living in a slum. His mother dead since he was 9 years old. He spent 1.5 years in an orphanage while his father served prison time for forgery. It's not a very good head start. He's had a pretty terrible 19 years. I just think we owe him a few words, that's all.
Well, I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. Now, he got a fair trial, didn't he? Come on, what do you think this trial costs? He's lucky he got it. Listen. I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. I mean, they're born liars.
It suddenly occurs to me that you must be an ignorant man.
What do you mean? What are you talking about here?
You think you have a monopoly on the truth?
What are you making a federal case about this for? How do you like this guy?
All right,
here?
relax.
I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
Come on, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon in here.
Monopoly, for Christ's sake.
If we're going to discuss this case, let's stick to the facts.
Yeah, he's right, gentlemen. We've got a job to do, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Suppose the gentleman at the end of the table can tell us why. I mean, tell us what he's thinking. Maybe we can show him where he's probably mixed up.
Pardon me, what are you drawing?
Huh? Oh, it's one of the projects I work on down at the ad agency. Rice Pops, the breakfast with the built-in bounce. I wrote that line.
It's very catchy.
If you don't mind.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I got this habit of doodling. You know, it keeps me thinking clearly.
We're trying to get somewhere
Yeah, I'm
here.
sorry.
I mean, we can sit here forever,
Well,
gentlemen.
look, maybe this is an idea. I mean, I'm just, thinking out loud here. But, it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this gentleman that, we're right and he's wrong. So maybe if we each took a minute or two and just kind of, it was just a quick thought,
No, I think it's a good one. I do. What do you say we go around once we're on the table in order of juror numbers? Sound good?
Yes.
All right, that means you're up first.
Well, it's hard to put it into words. I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. Well, it's in the Constitution. You've heard of it.
No, sure, I've heard of it, but, well, I know what it is. I just, the man is guilty. I mean, somebody saw him do it.
Okay. Now here's what I think. And I have no personal feelings in this at all. I'm just talking facts. Number one, let's take the old man who lived on the second floor, underneath the room where the murders took place. At 10 after 12 on the evening of the murder, he said he heard loud voices coming from the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid yell out, "I'm gonna kill him." Second later, he heard a body hit the floor. He ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. I mean, those are the facts. You can't refute facts. The boy is guilty. Look, I'm as sympathetic as the next guy. I mean, I know the kid's only 19, but he's got to pay for what he did.
I'm with you, Bob.
It was obvious to me, anyway, that the boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies at the time of the killing, yet 1 hour later he couldn't remember the names of the movies he had seen or who played it.
That's right. He's absolutely right.
And no one saw him go into or out of the theater.
Right.
Wait a minute. What about that woman across the street? Now, if her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right, she was the one who actually saw the killing.
Yeah, let's go in order, though. What do you say?
Just a minute. Now, there's a woman, right? She's lying in bed and can't sleep, right? She's dying from the heat, you know what I mean? Anyway, she looks out the window, right across the street. She sees a kid stick the knife into his father. The time is 12:10 on the nose. Everything fits. Now, she's known this kid all his life. His window is right opposite hers, right across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
Through the last 2 cars of a passing elevated train.
Right. This L train had no passengers on it. It was just being moved out of town. And the lights were out, remember? Now, they proved in court that at night you can look through the windows of an L train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side.
Right.
They proved it.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
You don't believe the boy? Well, how come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
Oh, you're a pretty smart fellow.
Come on.
No. What are you so wise about? What is this guy so wise about?
All right, calm down.
No,
What are you letting them get you so upset for, huh?
Come on like that.
Let's just take it easy and try and keep it peaceful in here, all right? Now, whose turn is it anyway? I think it's yours.
I'll pass.
All right, it's your privilege. Next gentleman.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was convinced early in the case. I was looking for a motive. That's very important.
Yep.
But without a motive, where's your case? Well, anyway, there was that testimony of those people who lived across the hall from the boy's apartment. Didn't they say something about the boy and his father having a fight the night of the killing?
Right.
About 7 p.m.? I mean, I could be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, it was 8 o'clock. They said they heard an argument, but they couldn't hear what it was about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. Well, what does that prove?
It doesn't prove anything. It's just part of the whole picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
You said it revealed a motive for the killing. The prosecuting attorney said the same thing. Well, I don't think it's a very strong motive. This kid's been hit so many times in his life that violence is practically a normal state of affairs for him. I just can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him to commit murder.
It may have been 2 slaps too many.
Right.
Everyone has a breaking point.
I do.
Anything else?
No.
No, thank you. Next gentleman.
Me?
Yep.
It's all already been said before. I mean, come on, look at this kid's record. He's 0 for 5 for crying out loud. When he was 10 years old, he was in children's court for throwing a rock at his teacher. He was in reform school when he was 14. He stole a car. Been picked up for mugging twice. Twice he was arrested for trying to knife a few kids. They said he was good with a knife. You know that? Oh, yeah. Real good kid.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up on a regular basis. He used his fists.
So would I on a kid like that.
Wouldn't you call those beatings a motive for him to kill his father?
I don't know. I'd say it's a motive for being an angry kid, I'll say that.
Ah, it's the kids. The way they are these days. Angry, hostile. Can't do a thing with them. Even the way they talk to you. When I was his age, I used to call my father sir. That's right, sir. You ever hear a boy call his father that these days?
Fathers don't seem to think it's important anymore.
Oh, yeah? You got any kids?
2.
Yeah, well, I got 1. He's 20. We did everything for that boy, and what happens? When he was 9, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed I almost threw up. I told him flat out, I'm gonna make a man out of you, or I'm gonna bust you in half trying. Yeah, I made a man out of him, all right. When he was 16, we got into a battle. He hit me in the face. He's big, you know? Haven't seen him in 2 years. Rotten kid. I mean, you work your heart out for these kids. All right, let's move on.
I think we're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're here to determine whether or not he is guilty or innocent of murder. Not to go into reasons why he was brought up that way. He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it, so do you. It's no secret that children that come from slum backgrounds are detrimental to society.
Oh, brother, you can say that again. Oh, no, the kids that crawl out of places like this are real trash. I don't want any part of them, I'm telling you.
Hey, I've lived in a slum all my life. And I nursed that trash at Harlem Hospital 6 nights a week.
Oh, now, wait a second here.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Hey, maybe it still smells like it.
All right, take it easy. Now listen, let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
No, there is something personal.
All right, listen, he wasn't talking about you. Don't be so sensitive.
This sensitivity, I understand.
Right, let's just relax, all right? Stop with the argument, all right? We're wasting time. Now, whose turn is it? It's your turn. You go.
Well, I wasn't expecting a turn. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me. Wasn't that the
That's
idea?
right. I forgot. Check.
Well, what the hell's the difference? I mean, he's the one who's keeping us here. Come on, let's hear what he's got to say.
Wait a minute. We decided to do it a certain way, so let's stick to what we said.
Stop being such a kid.
A kid? What do you mean by that?
Oh, what do you think I mean? K-I-D, kiss.
Why? Because I'm trying to keep it nice and organized and it's going smooth. Oh, you want to sit here? You want the responsibility? I'll tell you what, I'll sit over here and just keep my mouth shut. How about
What are you
that?
getting so hot about? Calm down, will you?
Calm down. You want to sit in the chair? Sit in the chair. You think it's so smooth and easy? Come on, you think it's a snap? Come on, Mr. Foreman. Let's see how you run the show.
You ever see such a thing here?
You think this is fun?
All right, come on. Take it easy. The whole thing is unimportant.
Oh, now it's unimportant. You want to try?
No, listen. You're doing a beautiful job, okay? Nobody wants to change, right?
You're doing great, kid. You just hang in there and pitch.
All right, come on, let's hear from somebody.
Well, if you want me to tell you how I feel about it now, it's all right with me.
Go ahead.
I don't care what you think.
All right, I haven't got anything brilliant. I don't know any more than you do. According to the testimony, the boy looks guilty. Maybe he is. I sat in court for 3 days listening while the evidence built up. Everybody sounded so positive that I got, well, a peculiar feeling about this whole trial. I mean, nothing is that positive. I had questions I would have liked to ask. Maybe they wouldn't have meant anything, but I just think I started to get a funny feeling that the defense attorney just let too many things go, little things.
What do you mean, little things? Oh, come on, listen. When these guys don't ask questions, it's because they know the answers already, and they figure they'll be hurt by it.
Maybe. It's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Sounds like you met my brother-in-law.
I kept trying to put myself in the boy's place. I would have asked for another lawyer, I think. I mean, if I was on trial for my life, I'd want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witnesses to shreds, or at least try. Look, there was one alleged eyewitness. Someone else says they heard the killing and saw the boy run out afterwards. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but actually those two witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Suppose they were wrong.
What do you mean, supposing they were wrong? I mean, what's the point of having witnesses at all?
Well, could they be wrong?
Well, look, they sat on the stand, right? Under oath. What are you trying to say?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know so?
Well, now listen. Nobody can know a thing like that, right? Come on, this isn't, an exact science here.
That's right, it isn't.
All right, let's get to the point. Let's talk about the switchblade they found in the father's chest.
Wait a minute, hold it. There are some people here who haven't talked yet. Shouldn't we wait?
Listen, they can talk whenever they want. You just be quiet a second, you hear? All right, let's talk about the blade. You know, the one that fine, upright lad admitted to buying on the night of the murder. Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again. Mr. Foreman?
We all know what it looks like. What are we going to get out of seeing it again?
You brought it up.
The gentleman has a right to see exhibits and evidence. The knife and the way it was bought is pretty strong evidence, don't you think so?
I do.
Good. Now suppose we take these points one at a time. 1. The boy admitted going out of the house around 8 o'clock on the night of the killing after being punched several times by his father. Right.
He didn't say punched, he said hit. There's a difference between a slap and a punch.
After being hit several times by his father. 2. He went directly to one of these neighborhood junk shops where he purchased, what do you call these things? A
switchblade.
Switchblade knife, thank you. 3. This isn't what you would call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual carved handle. 4. The storekeeper who sold it to the boy identified the knife in court and said it was the only one of its kind he had ever had in stock. 5. At around 8:45 or so, the boy ran into 3 of his friends in front of a diner. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you bet he is. Now listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
The boy spoke with his friends for about an hour, leaving them at 9:45, during which time each of them saw the switchblade. 6. Each of them identified the death weapon in court as that same knife. And 7. The boy arrived home around 10 o'clock. Now, this is where these stories offered by the boy in the state begin to diverge slightly. He claims that he stayed home until 11:30 and then went to one of these all-night movies. He arrived home at 3:15 to find his father dead and himself arrested. Now, what happened to the switchblade? Here we go. This is the charming and imaginative little fable the boy invented. He claims that the knife must have fallen through a hole in his pocket sometime between 11:30 and 3:15 on his trip to the movies, and that he never saw it again. Now, this is a tale, gentlemen. I think it's quite clear that the boy never went to the movies that night. No one in the house saw him leave at 11:30. No one in the theater identified him. He couldn't even remember the names of the movies he had seen. No, what actually happened is this. The boy stayed home, had another fight with his father, stabbed him to death at 10 minutes after 12, then fled from the house. He even remembered to wipe the fingerprints clean from the knife. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Now, are you really trying to tell me that it fell through a hole in the boy's pocket? Someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No! I'm saying it's possible the boy lost the knife, and that someone else stabbed the father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife. I've never seen another one like it. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to the boy. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not asking you to accept anything. I'm just saying it's possible.
Oh, yeah? And I'm saying it's not possible. Wait, what are you doing here? Hey, what is this?
Oh, what's going on here?
It's the exact same knife.
Same knife.
Where did you get that knife?
I went for a walk for a couple hours last night, just thinking. That knife comes from a little pawn shop, 3 blocks from the boy's house. It cost $6.
It's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right, I broke the law.
You know, that's a real bright trick you pulled there. But what do you think that proves, huh? Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
So what does that mean, huh? It's the same kind of knife. What is that? The discovery of the age or something?
It would still be an incredible coincidence for another person to stand so fast with the same kind of knife.
That's right. He's absolutely
The
right.
odds are 1 in a million. Come
But
on.
it's possible.
But not very probable.
All right. Let's sit back down, gentlemen. No point milling around here. All right.
You know, it's interesting that he should find a knife exactly like the one the boy bought.
Interesting. What does that prove? Does that prove anything?
No, but I just
Interesting. Listen, why don't you tell me why the kid bought the knife to begin with?
Well, he claims...
Yeah, I know. He claims he bought it as a present for a friend of his. He was going to give it to the kid the next day because he busted the other kid's knife dropping it on the pavement.
That's what he said.
The friend testified that the boy did break his knife.
Right. How long before the murder? 3 weeks. So now you tell me how our noble lad bought the knife 1/2 hour after his father smacked him, and 3.5 hours before they found it shoved up to here in his father's chest.
No, wait. He was going to give the kid the knife as a present. He just wanted to try it out first.
Well, let me ask you this. If the boy bought the knife to use on his father, then why did he show what's going to be the murder weapon to 3 friends of his just a couple of hours before the killing took place?
Look, all of that is just talk. The boy lied, and you know it.
He may have lied. Do you think he lied?
Yeah, that's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
How about you?
You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean you're not sure? What are you, the kid's lawyer or something? Who do you think you are to come in here and start cross-examining us?
Isn't that what's supposed to happen in a jury room?
Oh, yeah? Well, there's still 11 of us in here who say he's guilty.
I mean, come on. If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, you go right ahead. The kid will be tried again and found guilty just as sure as he was born.
You're probably right.
So what are we doing here? We're going to be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy may die.
Anybody got a deck of cards?
He shouldn't make a joke about it.
Come on. What do you want me to do? Listen, I don't see what all this stuff about the knife has to do with anything. Somebody saw the kid stab his father. Now, what more do you need? Listen, I got 3 garages of mine going to pot while you're talking. Now, let's just get done and get out of here.
You know, the knife is very important to the district attorney. He's not in the
He's
time
the
on it.
15th assistant or
Doesn't
something.
matter.
What does he know?
All right. Listen, let's just get on with it, okay? These side arguments are just slowing us down. So, how about
You are the only one.
All right, look, I've got a proposition to make. I want you 11 men to vote by secret written ballot, and I'll abstain. If there are still 11 guilty votes, then I won't stand alone. We'll take your guilty verdict into the judge right now.
Yeah.
But if anyone votes not guilty, we'll stay here and talk about it.
You're finally behaving like a reasonable man.
All right, that sounds good. Anybody object? All right, pass these down.
I'll go home, let's do it.
All right, all right, all right. All right, guilty. 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
Well, how do you like that?
The guy flips his goddamn wig.
All right, come on, come on. Who was it? I want to know.
Excuse me, this was a secret vote. We agreed on this.
Secret? What do you mean secret? There are no secrets in the jury room. I know who it was. You know, brother, you're really something. You come in here and vote guilty with the rest of us, and then some golden-voiced preacher over there starts to tear your heart out. How this poor little kid couldn't help become a murderer. So you changed your vote. If that isn't the most sickening thing, hey, why don't you drop a quarter in next collection box?
Right. Wait a minute. You can't talk to me like that. Let's go. Where does he get the right to shout at me?
Sit down, it doesn't matter, he's very excitable, forget it.
You bet I'm excitable. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs. Somebody comes along and starts telling fairy tales, and we're listening.
Take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? Do you want to see a proven murderer walking the streets again? Why don't we give him his knife back? Make it easier for him.
Can we hold down the yelling? Does anybody have anything constructive to say?
Please, I would like to say something here. I have always thought in this country that a man was entitled to have unpopular opinions.
Hey, you just stick to the subject. Why did you change your vote?
He didn't change his vote. I did. Would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't.
I would like to make it clear, if you don't mind.
Do we have to listen to this?
Oh, be quiet. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you. This gentleman has been standing alone against us. He doesn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure. Well, it's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives. The boy on trial is probably guilty, but I want to hear more. For the time being, the vote is 10-2. I'm talking here. You have no right.
We can't hear you.
We never will.
All right, if the speech is over, maybe we can move on.
I guess we gotta take a break. A gentleman there, and I think we ought to wait for him.
Boy, it looks like we're really hung up here. I mean, that thing with the old man was pretty unexpected, right? Jeez. Man, I wish I knew how we could break this up, huh? You know, in advertising, I told you I worked at an ad agency, didn't I? Yeah, well, there's some pretty strange people. Well, not strange, really. They just have peculiar ways of expressing themselves. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, it's probably the same in your business, right? Well, what do you do?
I am a watchmaker.
Really? Well, the finest watchmakers come from Europe, I imagine, right? So anyway, I was telling you in the agency, right? When we reach a point like this in the meeting, there's always some character ready with an idea. idea, right? And it kills me. I mean, it's the weirdest thing sometimes. The way they precede the idea with, like a phrase, right? Like, or some account executive will say, here's an idea. Let's run up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes it, right? Or let's put it on the bus and see if it gets off in Wall Street. I mean, it's idiotic, you know, but it's funny, you know, it keeps us,
Say, listen, that business before, you know, I'm just an excitable guy. I didn't mean to be nasty or anything, all right?
Oh. There you go. So, you a salesman?
I'm an architect.
Ah. You know all about the South Sell, don't you? You're pretty damn good at it, I'll tell you that. Me, I use another approach. Jokes, drinks, knock them on their asses. You know, last year I made $27,000 selling marmalade, which is pretty damn good when you consider marmalade. Oh, come on. What are you getting out of this, kicks or something? Let's just get this over with so we can go home before we all get sore throats.
What's the difference whether you get one here or at the ball game?
Nothing, pal. No difference at all.
Nice bunch of guys, huh?
Same as any, I guess.
That loudmouth, the one that was talking about his son, the way he was talking, boy, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
What a murderous day. You think we'll be here much longer?
I don't know.
He's guilty. There's no doubt about it in the whole world. We should have been done by now. Oh, not that I mind, it beats working, you know. Hey, wait a minute. You think he's innocent?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know you, but I'll bet you've never been wronger in your life. Why did you wrap this up? You are wasting your time.
Suppose you were the one on trial.
I'm not used to supposing. My boss, he does the supposing. I'm just a working man. But I'll try one. Suppose you talk us out of this, and the kid really did knife his father.
All right, gentlemen, let's take our seats.
Well, looks like we'll be here for dinner.
Yeah. All right, everybody here? All right, let's get down to business. Who'd like to start us off?
Well, I'd like to say something. Oh, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
Pardon me, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Quite all right. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to make a small point. The boy had a motive for the killing. The beatings and all. I mean, if he didn't do it, who else did? Who else had a motive? I mean, people just don't go out and kill somebody without a motive. Not unless they're just plain nuts, right?
Look, as far as I know, we're supposed to determine whether the boy on trial is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives. That's a job for the police.
Very true. But we can't let help letting the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, can we? And we can't help asking ourselves who else may have had motive. Logically, these things follow. Now, this gentleman has asked a reasonable question. Somebody killed the man. If it wasn't the boy, then who was it?
Mojalewski!
Talking about the man I love!
If you haven't got anything to add besides jokes, I suggest you listen.
All right, I was just letting off steam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you can answer me then. Who else may have killed the father?
Well, I don't know. The boy's father wasn't exactly a model citizen. He was in jail once. He was known to be a compulsive gambler and a pretty consistent loser. He spent time in neighborhood bars and would often get into fistfights after a couple of drinks, usually over a woman. He was a tough, cruel, primitive kind of man who never held a job for more than 6 months in his life. So here are a few possibilities. He may have been killed by one of the men he served time in prison with, or by a bookmaker, or by a man he'd beaten up, or by a woman he'd picked up, or by any one of the people he was known to hang around with.
Boy, oh boy, that is the biggest load of crap that I've... Listen, we know the father was a bum, so, I mean, come on, what does that got to do with anything?
I didn't bring it up. I was asked who else might have killed him, and I gave my answer.
That gentleman over there asked a direct question.
Oh, everyone's a lawyer.
All right, why don't you answer this for me? The old man said he heard the boy yell out, "I'm gonna kill you." Second later, he heard a body hit the floor. And he saw the kid running out of the house. Now, what does all that mean to you?
Well, I was wondering how clearly he could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
He didn't hear it through the ceiling. His window was open, and the upstairs apartment window was open too. It was a hot night, remember?
The voice came from another apartment. It's not easy to identify a voice, especially a shouting voice.
He identified it in court.
Yes.
He picked it out of 5 other voices. I mean, it blindfolded.
But that was just an ambitious district attorney putting on a show. Listen, the old man knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for years, but to identify it positively from the apartment downstairs, isn't it possible he was wrong? That he thought the boy was upstairs and automatically decided that the voice he heard was the boy's voice?
I think that's a bit far-fetched.
Brother, you can say that again. Look, the old man heard the father's body falling. Then he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds later. Come on, he saw the boy.
And don't forget the woman across the street. I mean, she looked right into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. I mean, come on, isn't that enough for you?
Not right now. No, it isn't.
Forget this guy. It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of an elevated train. The train had 6 cars, and she saw the killing through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembered the most insignificant details. I don't see how you can argue with that.
I don't know. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, well, maybe you ought to think about it. Listen, I'll be X's, you be O's. All right.
I wonder if anybody has any idea how long it takes. How can you play tic-tac-toe? This isn't a game.
Hey, wait a minute! Who do you think
All
you
right,
are?
all right, take it easy.
Come on now,
What?
let's take our seats.
Well, I got a good mind to belt him.
Come on, I don't want any fights in here.
What? Did you hear him? The nerve, the absolute
Come
nerve.
on, forget it. It's not important.
This isn't a game. Who does he think he's dealing with here?
It's over with. Come on, let's
What do you
sit
mean
down.
it's over? I want an apology.
Come on.
All right, Noisy, he apologizes. Now let's hear what he's got to say.
Come on.
Thank you. I was wondering if anybody has any idea how long it takes an elevated train traveling at medium speed to pass a given point.
What difference does that make?
How long? Take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
How about you?
I don't know, about 10 or 12 seconds maybe?
Oh, what's all this for?
I'd say that was about right. Anyone else?
I'd say that's about right, yes.
Come on, what's the guessing game for?
What do you think?
10 seconds approximately.
All right, let's say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. It takes a 6-car L train 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now let's say that given point is the open window of the apartment in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out and touch the L tracks, right?
Right.
Has anyone here ever lived right next to the L tracks?
I work next to the L line, painting an apartment. I'm a house painter, that's my business. I was there for 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Oh, brother. Yeah, but it doesn't matter in my business. Everybody's punchy anyway.
Listen, I lived in a 2nd-floor apartment right next to the L line once. When the windows open and a train goes by, the noise is unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
All right, you can't hear yourself think. What point are you getting at?
Look, let's take 2 pieces of testimony and try and put them together. First, the old man downstairs. He says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and then he heard a body hit the floor a split second later. 1 second, right?
That's right.
Second, the woman across the street. She says she looked out her window and saw the killing take place through the last 2 cars of a passing L train. The last 2 cars, right?
All right, what's your point?
Now we agreed it takes a 6-car L train about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Since the woman says she saw the killing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body hit the floor just as the train passed by. Therefore, the train had to be roaring past the old man's apartment for a full 10 seconds before the body fell. The old man, according to his testimony, hearing the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and the body falling a split second later, would have had to hear the boy make that statement while the yell was roaring past his nose. Well, it isn't possible he could have heard it.
Oh, that's idiotic. Sure he could have heard it.
You think so?
The old man said the boy yelled it out. That's enough for me.
If he heard anything at all, he still couldn't identify a voice. Not with the train roaring
We're
past.
talking about a matter of seconds here. Nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I think testimony that can put a boy in the electric chair should be that accurate.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe he didn't, not with the sound of the L train and all.
What are you people talking about
Well,
here?
it stands to reason
Ah,
that-
you're crazy. Why would he lie, huh? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You know, you keep coming up with these snappy sayings here. Why don't you send one off to the newspapers? They paid $3.
Why are you talking to him like that? A guy who talks to an old man like that ought to get stepped on.
Hey, don't put your hands on me!
You should show some respect.
Yeah?
Take it easy now. Sit down. Come on.
Go ahead. What did you want to say? Why do you think the old man might lie?
Well, it's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice that?
Yes, it is.
I mean, to come into court like that. He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg and trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who's been nothing all of his life. Never had any recognition, his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him, nobody quotes him, nobody seeks his advice after 75 years. This is a very sad thing, to be nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be listened to be quoted, just once. This is very important. It would be so hard for him to recede into the background.
Wait. Are you trying to tell us that this old man lied just so he can feel important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he'd make himself believe that he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Oh, that is the most fantastic story I ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
Gentlemen, this case is based on a reasonable and logical progression of facts.
Facts,
Keep it there.
facts may be colored by the personalities of the people who present them.
Oh, you talking to me?
Would anybody care for a cough drop?
Yeah, I'll take one.
Say what you like. I still don't see how anybody can think the boy is not guilty.
All right, look, I think we've proved the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." But
You didn't prove it at all. What are you talking about?
But supposing he did, this phrase, how many times have each of us used it? Probably hundreds. I could kill you for that, darling. You do that one more time, Junior, and I'll kill you. Kill him, Rocky. We say it every day. It doesn't mean we're going to kill somebody.
All right, what are you trying to give us here? The boy yelled out, "I'm going to kill you," and he yelled it at the top of his lungs. Don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says something like that the way he said it, they mean it.
Well, I don't know about that. I remember arguing with a man at the bank just a couple of weeks ago. So he called me an idiot. So I yelled at him.
Look, this guy is making you believe things that aren't true. The kid said he was going to kill him, and he did kill him.
Do you really think he'd shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood could hear him? Sure. I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Bright? He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
Potter, he doesn't even speak good English.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
The hell are you talking about?
You heard me.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
What are you basing this on? Stories this guy's pulling out of thin air? Come on, the facts are staring you right in the face. And they all say that this kid killed his father, crying out loud. Even his lawyer didn't think he had a chance. You could see it right from the beginning, his own lawyer. Christ, this guy deserves the chair.
Does he? It's happened before that someone's been convicted of murder and executed, and years later someone else has confessed to the crime. Sometimes the facts staring you in the face are just wrong.
I was talking to him, not you. Look, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? And the lawyer presented his case, not you. How come you got so much to say?
The lawyer was court appointed.
What does that mean?
It could mean a lot of things. It could mean he didn't want the case. It could mean he resented being appointed. I mean, it's the type of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. It's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer. He'd really have to believe in his client in order to put up a good fight, and as you just pointed out, obviously he didn't.
Oh, good! God himself come to earth? Come on! The kid's guilty.
Pardon me,
At the time.
I have made some notes here.
Notes yet? Oh.
I would like, please, to say something. I have been listening very closely, and it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. From what was presented at the trial, the boy looks guilty. But maybe if we go deeper...
Come on, will you?
There is a question I would like to ask. We assume that the boy committed murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and then ran away. This was at 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was the boy caught by the police? He came home at 3 o'clock or so and was captured by 2 detectives in the hallway of his house. Now, my question is, if the boy had really killed his father, then why did he come back 3 hours later? Wouldn't he be afraid of being caught?
Look, he came back to get his knife. It's not nice to leave knives sticking in people's chests.
Especially a relative.
The boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the one he had just purchased. He had to get it before the police did.
But if he knew the knife could be identified, then why did he leave it there in the first place?
Well, I think we can assume that he ran out in a state of panic, and once he calmed down, he realized he had left the knife.
Well, this then depends upon your definition of panic. Now, he was calm enough to see to it that the knife was free of fingerprints. Now, when did the panic start and when did it end?
Look, you can forget all that other stuff. He came back to dig out his knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I was a boy and I had killed my father, I would not have come back. 3 hours later, I would be afraid that the police would be there. I would stay away, knife or no knife.
Listen, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on?
I don't believe I have to be loyal to one side or the other. I'm simply asking questions.
Look, this is just off the top of my head, but if I were the boy and I, done the stabbing and everything, well, I'd take a chance and go back for the knife. I bet he figured nobody had seen him, and that the body probably wasn't even discovered yet.
Right.
I mean, after all, it was the middle of the night, right? I mean, he probably thought the body wouldn't be found till the next day.
Pardon, here is my whole point. The woman across the street testified that a moment after she saw the killing, that is a moment after the L train went by, she screamed and they went to telephone the police. Now the boy must certainly have heard that scream and known that somebody saw something. I don't think he would have gone back if he had been the murderer.
2 points. 1, in his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. And 2, if he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own act. After all, he did come from a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
Right, there's your answer.
Maybe. Look, maybe the boy did stab his father. Didn't hear the scream. Did run out in a panic. Did calm down and came back 3 hours later to retrieve the knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe all these things are so. But maybe they aren't. Look, I think we have enough doubt to wonder if the boy was even in the apartment at the time the killing took place.
What do you mean, doubt? What are you talking about? Didn't the old man see him running out of the house?
Yes.
Oh, come on. He's twisting the facts. I'm telling you here. Did or didn't the old man see the kid running out of the house at 12:10? Well, did he or didn't he?
He says he did.
Says he did.
Boy, oh boy, how do you like that? Okay, well, did or didn't the woman across the street see the kid kill his father? She says she did. Come on, you're making out like it don't matter what people say here. No. What you want to believe, you believe, and what you don't want to believe, you don't. Come on, now what kind of way is that? I mean, what do you think these people get up on the witness stand for? Their health? I'm telling you, man, the facts are being changed around here. Witnesses are being doubted, and there is no reason for it.
Witnesses can make mistakes.
Oh, sure, when you want them to, they do. You know what I mean?
All right, can we hold down the yelling?
Yeah, well, you keep saying that. Well, maybe what we need here is a little more yelling. These guys, they're going every which way. I mean, come on. Did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream, and what the hell is the difference here? I mean, come on, they're just little details. You're forgetting the important.
I'd like to call for another vote.
Hey, I am talking here.
Another vote's been called for.
What are we gonna get out of voting again?
The gentleman asked. We're gonna vote.
Never seen so much time spent on nothing.
Yeah, it'll only take a second.
I guess the easiest way is to find out who's voting not guilty. All those voting not guilty, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Still the same. 3 votes for not guilty, 9 votes guilty.
All right, so where's this getting us here? We can talk and talk and talk till next Tuesday. It's not getting us anywhere.
Pardon, I vote not guilty.
What? Oh, now wait a minute. What is going on here? Well, we're all going crazy in here or something. The boy is guilty. Pay attention to the facts. Come on, tell him, will you? This is getting to be a goddamn joke.
Vote is now 8-4 in favor of guilty.
I mean, everybody's heart is starting to bleed for this kid, like they just declared it Love Your Underprivileged Brother Week. Listen, come here. I want you to tell me why you changed your vote. Come on, give me a reason.
I don't have to defend my vote to you. I have a reasonable doubt.
Reasonable doubt? That's nothing but words. Here, take a look at this, all right? The kid you just said isn't guilty was seen ramming this thing into his father's chest. Come on, take a look at it, Mr. Reasonable Doubt.
That's not the knife. Don't you remember?
Oh, brilliant.
Come on, this is crazy. What are we supposed to believe? This guy's pulling stuff out of thin air here. What about the old man? Do you want us to believe that he didn't jump up out of bed, didn't run down to the door and see the guy running down the hallway 15 seconds after the murder? Come on, what's the point of the whole thing?
Hold on a second.
Oh, and the Milwaukee Rooter is heard from.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
I think he said he
Ran, walked, crawled, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he
He
could have
said
run.
he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Wait a minute. Where was the old man's bedroom again?
It's down the hall somewhere. Oh, I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No. Mr. Foreman, I'd like to see the diagram of the apartment.
Oh, you know what? Why don't you run the whole trial over so you can make sure you got everything right?
Mr. Foreman?
I heard you.
Now, wait a minute, what's going on here? How come you're the only one who wants to see exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one too.
Yeah, and I want to stop wasting time.
Listen, I want to see if a very old man who drags one leg when he walks because he had a stroke last year can make it from his bedroom to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
He said 20 seconds. What are you
He
trying
said
to
15.
Look, how does he know how long 15 seconds is? He's an old man. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. How can he be positive about anything?
I mean, the man says he saw the boy running out.
Well, let's see if the details bear him out. All right. As soon as the body hit the floor, he says he heard footsteps running towards the door. Then he heard the upstairs door open and the footsteps start down the stairs. He says he got out of bed and got to his front door as soon as he could. He swore it couldn't be any more than 15 seconds. Now, if the killer started running immediately...
Well, maybe he did.
The old man said he did.
You know what? You should be down in Atlantic City at the Hair Splitters convention.
All right, baseball, enough with the wisecracks.
For your $3 a day, you have to listen to everything.
Okay, come on. Now that you got this thing up here, what about it?
All right, look. This is a diagram of the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly below it and exactly the same. Here's the outline. Bedroom, living room, kitchen, bath, hall, front door, and stairs. Now, the old man says he got out of bed, out into the hall, down the hall, opened the front door just in time to see the boy run down the stairs. Am I right so far?
That's the story for the 19th time.
15 seconds after he heard the body hit the floor.
Correct.
All right, he was in bed. It's 12 feet from the bed to the bedroom door. The hallway is 43 feet 6 inches. So he had to get out of bed, go to the bedroom door, open it, go out into hall, down the hall, open the front door, all in 15 seconds. Do you think he could have done it?
Yeah, sure he could have done it.
I could only walk very slowly. I have to help him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like a long walk. It isn't.
For an old man who's had a stroke, it is a long walk.
All right, look, this is the old man's bed.
Oh, come on, what's going on here?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took him.
What do you mean you want to try it? Why did the kid's lawyer bring it up if it was so important?
Maybe he just didn't think of it.
Oh, what do you mean he didn't think of it? What do you think the man's an idiot or something? It's an obvious thing.
Did you think of it?
Look, smart guy, it don't matter whether I thought of it or not. He didn't bring it up because he knew the answer and hurt his case.
All right.
Now, what do you think of that?
All right, this is the old man's bed. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
Oh, this is crazy. You can't recreate something like this.
I'd like to see it.
All right, this is the bedroom door. Now, the hallway's 43 feet long. I'll pace to the front door and down a little bit.
Oh, come on, this is absolutely insane. Now, what is the idea of wasting everybody's time here?
According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. 39, 42, 43. Somebody give me another chair, please. All right, this is the front door to the apartment. It was chain locked, according to the testimony. Who's got a watch with a second hand?
Oh, I do.
All right, stamp your foot when you want me to start. That'll be the body hitting the floor. Timing from there.
Anyone for a game of charades?
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life.
All right, I'm ready.
Come on, let's go here.
I want to wait till the second hand reaches 60.
Go. All right, here's the body. He's got to get up out of bed. Now he's got to go 12 feet to the bedroom door. Gets to the bedroom door, opens it, steps out into the hall. He's got to go 43 feet to the front door of his apartment.
Come on, snap it up. You walk twice as fast as that.
I think this is even more quickly than the old man walked into the courtroom.
If you think I should go faster, I will.
Oh, come on. Can we get this kid stuff over with?
All right. Gets to the door. He's got to open the chain lock, open the door, and look out. Stop. What's the time?
30, 40, 42 seconds.
42 seconds?
42 seconds. Look, I think this is what happened. The old man heard the fight between the boy and his father a couple of hours earlier. Then, while lying in bed, he heard the body hit the floor. He tried to get to the front door as quick as he could, but he heard the footsteps heading down the stairs, and he just assumed it was the boy.
I think that might be possible.
Assumed?
Now listen to me, people. I've seen a lot of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. You come in here with your sanctimonious talk about slum kids and justice. You start telling some wild stories, and all of a sudden you start getting through to some of the little old ladies in here. Well, you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. What's the matter with you people? Every one of you knows this kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Slip through our fingers? What are you, his executioner?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
Oh, for this kid, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Don't even start with me.
Ever since we walked in this room, you've been behaving like a self-appointed public avenger.
I'm telling you, shut up.
You want to see this kid die because you personally want it, not because of the facts.
Shut up!
You're a sadist.
Shut up, you son of a bitch! Hey, God damn it! Let me go! Let me go! I'll kill him! I'll kill him!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Anything wrong here, gentlemen? I heard some noise.
Oh, no. Everything's fine. Fine. Just a little arguing. We're done with this. Thank you very much.
What are you all staring at?
Wow, it's getting late, huh? So what do they do, like take us out to a restaurant for supper?
Sorry, I don't know that.
You know, I wonder if they let us go home. I mean, you know, in case we can't finish tonight. I got a boy with mumps. He's out to here. Wife says he looks like Khrushchev.
Please, this fighting. This is not fight. We are here to fight. We have a responsibility. I have always thought that in this country it is a remarkable thing that we are, what is the word, notified. We are notified to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have never heard of before. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Well, I mean, you know, nobody has an idea. I might have a cutie here.
Right.
I mean, I haven't put much thought into it, but anyway, let me throw it out on the stoop and see if the cat licks it up, huh?
See if the cat licks it up? Come on, come on.
But it wasn't much of an idea anyway.
Look how dark it's getting. We're gonna have a real storm.
God, it's hot.
Excuse me, don't you sweat?
No, I don't.
Maybe we should take another vote. You know what? Why don't we follow this one up with some dancing and hors d'oeuvres?
Mr. Foreman.
All right, another vote's been called for. I guess the easiest way is a show of hands.
I say we have an open ballot. Call out our vote. Let's see who stands where.
All right, sounds good to me. Anybody object? No. All right, I'll call off your juror number. I vote guilty. Number 2?
Not guilty.
Number 3? Guilty. Number 4?
Guilty?
Number 5?
Not guilty.
Number 6?
Guilty. Not guilty.
Number 7?
Guilty.
Number 8?
Not guilty.
Number 9?
Not guilty.
Number 10?
Guilty.
Number 11?
Not guilty.
Number 12?
Guilty.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All tied up, 6-6.
Oh, good. Let's go into some extra innings now.
6-6? I'm telling you, some of you people here are out of your mind. A kid like that.
I don't think the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. The facts are supposed to determine
Don't
the
give me
case.
any of that. I'm sick and tired of facts. Twist them any way you like, you know what I mean?
That is exactly the point that this gentleman has been making. I mean, you keep shouting at the top of your lungs.
Okay, calm down.
I'd like to be a little younger.
Calm down.
Very hot here.
Do you want some water?
No, thank you.
Well, it looks like it's gonna rain.
No. How did you figure that out, Bright Eyes? What made you change your vote?
Well, it just seemed to
You
me.
don't have a leg to stand on. You know that, don't you?
Well, I don't feel that way. Listen, there were a lot of details that never came out.
Details, yeah, right. You're just letting yourself get bulldozed by a bunch of, what do you call them, intellectuals.
Get out of here. Go ahead.
Now, that's not so.
Come on, you're just like everybody else. You think too much, you get mixed up. You know what I mean?
Listen now, I don't think you have any right to talk to me that way. Loudmouth.
There's our ring.
It's a little hotter in here now. Good.
Hey, wow. Look at that rain. Huh? Think it'll cool it down? I guess so. Reminds me of a storm we had in November something. Right in the middle of a game. We're losing 7-6. We're really starting to move the ball. I mean, really starting to move, and all of a sudden, whoosh, snot starts coming down in cats and dogs. I mean, in 2 minutes, practically up to our ass in mud. We couldn't go anywhere. I tell you, I almost bawled. I forgot to tell you, I'm the assistant head football coach over at McCorkle High School.
Okay, let's see if we get this fan going here. Come on.
All right, let's take another look at it.
Oh. Hey! Hey! How about that? It must have been connected to the light switch.
So, some rain, huh? So what do you think of this thing? Steven. Kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yes.
Say, listen, that business before, I mean, the guy was just trying to bait me. You know, I'm an excitable person. But I mean, where does he come off calling me a sadist and everything, huh? Anybody in his right mind would have blown his stack, wouldn't he? I mean, he was just trying to bait me.
You did an excellent job. Excuse me.
Isn't that the goddamnedest thing you ever saw? 6 to 6? It's a joke.
Oh, can't we do something about it? I mean, can we break it
Come
somehow?
on, those 6 bastards in there ain't gonna change their mind.
5 of them already have changed their minds. There's no reason they can't be persuaded to do it again.
Well, how?
Just by using logic.
All right, now listen to this man. He's the only one in the room who knows.
You want my opinion here?
Go ahead.
I think we should just quit.
What the hell are you talking about?
Put those people in there suddenly like it's some kind of mission or something. Look, they're not going to switch, so let's go and tell the judge. I mean, come on. We'll be here all night. For Christ's sake, let's tell him we're hung. I mean, what the hell? What am I going to do, break my brains over scum like that?
You took an oath in the courtroom. You can't just quit.
Yeah, why not?
It's dishonest. Why don't you vote not guilty?
I voted guilty because I think he's guilty.
What, now you don't care anymore?
No, why should I?
All right, just stop. We're not going to get anywhere like this.
Well, what does he want from me? I mean, I gave him my honest opinion.
I know.
I suppose you don't think much of it?
No, I don't.
All right, gentlemen, about ready to start.
How about him? Is that something?
Look, a hung jury doesn't mean anything. They just start the trial over with another jury. It's not what we're here for.
What the hell's the difference? A hung jury is what we're gonna get.
All right, if you please, guys. All right, gentlemen, take our seats. Okay. So,
I'll tell you what I think here. We're going nowhere here. I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury.
You know what, I'm with you.
All right.
I say we take it inside and let the kid take his chances with 12 other guys.
I don't think the court will accept a hung jury. We haven't been in here very long.
Let's find out.
I'm not in favor of
Come
this.
on. You know he doesn't stand a chance with another jury. You know that. Come on, let's just take it inside.
You still don't think there's any room for reasonable doubt?
No.
Pardon, but maybe you are not fully aware of the term reasonable doubt.
What the hell are you talking to like that? What do you mean I don't understand?
right.
Who are you to tell me what I understand and don't understand? You know, they're all alike. They come over to this country running for their lives, and before they've even had a chance to take a deep breath, they're running the show. Arrogance in this guy.
You're calling him arrogant because he wasn't born here? Well, I'm calling you arrogant because you were. How's that?
Please, it does not.
Now listen, kiddo. Nobody tells me what I understand and don't understand. Especially him. Or I'll knock his goddamn European head off.
All right. Can we stick to the subject for just 2 minutes? Stick to the subject, please, gentlemen.
I'd like to talk about something. An important point for the prosecution was the fact that the boy, after claiming he had been at the movies during the time the killings took place, couldn't remember the pictures he saw or the stars who appeared in them.
Right.
This gentleman has repeated that point several times.
That's correct. It was the only alibi the boy offered, and he himself couldn't back it up with any details at all.
Right.
Putting yourself in the boy's place, if you can, do you think you can remember details after an upsetting experience such as being slapped in the face by your father?
I do. If there were any special details to remember. He couldn't remember the names of the movies at the theater he named because he wasn't there that night.
According to the police, the boy was questioned in the kitchen while the body of his father lay on the bedroom floor. Do you think you'd remember details under such circumstances?
I do.
Under great emotional stress?
Under great emotional stress.
Well, he named them correctly in court. He named the pictures he saw and the stars who appeared in them.
Yes, his lawyer took great pains to bring that out. He had 3 months from the night of the murder to the day of the trial in which to memorize the movies. I'll take the testimony of the policeman who interrogated the boy right after the killing, when he couldn't remember a thing about the movies. Great emotional stress or not.
I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
Hello, this guy.
I was at home.
And the night before that?
Oh, come on, will you? Come on.
Perfectly all right. I went straight from court to my office, stayed there till 8:30, and went right home to bed.
How about the night before that?
Tuesday. Tuesday night was the night of the bridge tournament. Yes, I played bridge.
And Monday night?
You know, when you get to New Year's Eve 1950, you'll let me know, okay?
Monday. Monday night, my wife and I went to the movies.
Oh, what'd you see?
The Scarlet Circle. It was a very clever whodunit.
What was the second feature?
I'll tell you in a minute. The remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge. Yes, the remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
Excuse me, I saw that. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
Yes, the amazing Mrs. Bainbridge. Yes, I think that's right.
Who was in The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
It's a dark, very pretty girl. Barbara. Barbara Long. Barbara Long.
Who else?
It was a very inexpensive second feature with a...
And you weren't under great emotional strain, were you?
No, I wasn't.
I think the point is made.
Oh, big point.
I think it is a big point.
What, just because he can't remember the name of some two-bit movie star? I suppose that proves the kid was at the movies.
No, but it indicates that no one can prove he wasn't. He might have been at the movies. I've forgotten what he saw. It's possible. If it's perfectly normal for this gentleman to forget a few details, it's also perfectly normal for the boy. Being accused of murder isn't necessarily supposed to give him an infallible memory.
Oh, yeah? Well, you can talk till your tongue is dragging on the floor. The boy is guilty. Period. Know what I mean, my friend? Who's got those cough drops?
Oh, they're all gone, my friend.
You know, there's something we're forgetting. All the business with the psychiatrist.
Oh, come on, don't start with all that phony psycho, whatever you call it.
No, there's something...
No, what a racket that is. I'm filling people's head with all that junk. Listen, I've got 3 psychiatrists keeping their cars in one of my garages. Let me tell you, the whole 3 of them are crazy.
There's a point I'd like to make if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
well, I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony.
Look, why don't you let the man talk? You can spend 5 minutes on the uselessness of psychiatry when he's finished.
The point I was going to make was that the psychiatrist definitely stated that this kid had strong homicidal tendencies. That he was, what do you call it, capable of committing murder. Talked about those 8 blots and the test and all that stuff. He definitely said that this kid was the killer type. Am I right?
Check. I think he said something about paranoid tendencies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right. Whatever that is. He definitely stated that this boy had murder on his mind.
His unconscious mind.
And nobody else.
I beg pardon. In discussing...
I beg pardon. Oh, why are you being so goddamn polite?
For the same reason you are not. It's the way I was brought up. Now, in discussing such a thing as the murder potential, we should remember that many of us are capable of murder, yet few of us do. We impose controls upon ourselves to prevent it. The most these psychiatric tests can accomplish is this. They can tell us that someday a particular person may commit a murder. That's all. They prove nothing.
Then why are they admitted into evidence?
Well, they have many uses, of course. In this particular case, they added to the general impressions that the prosecution was trying to create. Perhaps if we 12 men took the same tests, one or two of us may be discovered to have unconscious desires to kill and the potentiality of carrying it out, yet none of us has. To say that a man is capable of murder does not mean that he has committed murder.
But it can mean it. I mean, if they said the kid is capable of killing, he could have killed, couldn't he?
Aren't you the one who said, and I quote, "I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony"?
Boy, I'm telling you,
All right, take it easy. What time? 5 to 6. Look at that rain.
There goes your ball game, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Say, could I see that knife for a second?
Well, still tied up, 6 to 6. Who's got a suggestion?
I am. Let's get some dinner, huh?
Why don't we wait till 7? Give it another hour.
Yeah, fine with me.
I'd like to say something. There's something I want to talk about that's been bothering me a little bit.
All right.
Well, there's this whole business about the stab wound. You know, how it was made, the downward angle of it. You know?
No, don't tell me we're gonna start this again. They went over it and over it.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. Look, the boy is 5 feet 7 inches tall. The father was 6'2". That's a difference of 7 inches. Now, it's a very awkward thing to stab someone down into the chest when he's a half a foot or more taller than you are.
Oh, listen, look, you're not gonna give me that thing. You're not gonna be satisfied till you see it again. So I'm gonna give you a little demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay. Now, I'm about 4 or 5 inches shorter than you, right?
Maybe a little bit more.
All right, let's say a little bit.
That's not funny!
Calm down. Nobody's hurt, right?
No, nobody's hurt.
All right. Now take a look at it. There's your angle. Down and in. That's how I'd stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Now prove me wrong.
Down and in. Guess there's no argument, huh?
Wait a minute. Can I see that? God, I hate these things. I grew up with them.
Have you seen him used in fights?
Too many of them. On my stoop, in the backyard, and the lot across the street. Switchblades came with the neighborhood where I lived. It's funny, I wasn't thinking of it before. I guess you try to forget those things. You don't use this kind of knife that way. You have to hold it like this in order to release the blade. If you wanted to stab downward, you'd have to change your grip.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Use it like that. Underhanded. I mean, that's why they're made like this.
Well, everyone agreed that the boy was pretty handy with a knife, didn't they?
That's right.
But do you think he would have made the kind of stab wound that killed his father?
Not with the experience he had with these things. No, I don't think he would. He'd go for him underhanded.
Wait a minute, how do you know? What, were you in the room when the father was killed?
No, and neither was anybody else.
You know, you're giving us a lot of mumbo-jumbo here.
I don't think you can determine what type of a stab wound the boy might or might not have made simply because he knows how to handle a knife.
That's right, that's absolutely right.
What do you think?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. How about you?
Well, just a minute. According to the
You know what? I've had enough. Yeah, till next Tuesday, we're not gonna get anything done here. I'm gonna break it up here. Change my vote to not guilty.
You what?
You heard me, I've had enough.
What do you mean you had enough? That's no answer.
Just worry about yourself.
No, he's right. That is not an answer. What kind of man are you? You have voted guilty with everyone else because you have baseball tickets, burning a hole in your pocket, and now you have changed your vote because you say you're tired of all the talking here?
Now wait just a minute.
You cannot play like this with a man's life. This is a terrible and ugly thing to do. Don't you care?
Well, you can't talk.
I can't talk like this to you. If you want to vote not guilty, then do it because you are convinced that the boy is not guilty, not because you have had enough. And if you think he's guilty, then vote that way. Or don't you have the guts to do what you
Now,
think
you
is
listen
right?
to me.
Guilty or not?
I told you! Not guilty!
Why?
I don't think he's guilty.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to call for another vote.
All right. Another vote's been called for. Anybody object? Guess the easiest way is a show of hands. All those voting not guilty, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, the vote is now 9-3 in favor of not guilty.
I don't understand you people. I mean, come on, all these picky little points that you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. I mean, come on, how can you believe his story? I mean, you're an intelligent man. You know the facts of life, right? Well, for Christ's sake, look at what we're dealing with here. I mean, you know what they're like. And that guy down there, now I don't know what the hell's going on with him. All this talk about psychiatrists, well maybe he ought to go to one. Okay, let's talk facts. These people are born to lie. There, I said it. And no intelligent man is going to tell me otherwise. They don't know what the truth is. I mean, take a look at them. Come on. They are different. They think different. They act different. I mean, for instance, they don't need any big excuse to kill someone. Well, that's true. I mean, everybody knows it. I mean, come on, they get drunk on wine or something cheap like that. Oh, they're very big drinkers here. Oh, smart guy. Look at him, for Christ's sake. What does that mean? Slamming the door. Okay, now they're drunk. And all of a sudden, bam! Someone's lying dead in the gutter. Okay, so no one's blaming them for it. That's how they are, by nature. You know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey! Where you going? Oh, while you're in there, why don't you clean out your ears? Maybe you'll hear something. Come on, look, listen to me here now. These people, they're boozing it up and, fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. See, they don't care. Fathers and mothers, families, it don't mean anything. I mean, they breed like animals. Family? Come on! Oh, sure, there are some good things about them. Look, I am the first to say that. Look, I met some that were okay, but that's the exception.
Do you know that you're a sick man?
Sick?
Why don't you sit down?
You old son of a... No, who the hell is he? Who the hell is he to tell me that? Sick. Look at him. He can hardly stand up. Sick. Now listen. Listen to me. I am speaking my piece, and you are going to listen to me.
Maybe if you just quiet it down, huh?
Quiet down. I will like hell quiet down. There is not one of them that's any good. Well, do you hear that? Not one. Not one. Now let me lay this out for you ignorant bastards. You at the window. Oh, you're so goddamn smart. We're facing a danger here. Don't you know that? These people are multiplying. This kid on trial here, his kind are multiplying 5 times as fast as we are. That's the statistic. 5 times. I mean, come on, they're wild animals here. They're against us, they hate us, they want to destroy us. Yeah, that's right, they want to destroy us. Now, look, don't look at me like that. There is a danger here, I'm telling you, there is a danger. And if we don't stop them, if we don't smack them down whenever we can, then they are going to own us, right? They are going to breed us out of existence.
Oh, shut up!
Now, you goddamn geniuses had better listen to me here. They are violent. They are vicious. They are ignorant. And they will cut us up. That's their intent, to cut us up. Now, I'm warning you. This boy on trial here, we've got him. That's one at least. Now, I say, get him before his kind gets us. And I don't give a goddamn about the law. Why should I? They don't. Now, I am telling you.
I have heard enough. Now you just stop all this.
Oh, yeah? How'd you like me to cave your head in for you? Take it easy. Where the hell does he get the goal?
We've heard enough. Now sit down and don't open your filthy mouth again.
Very hard to keep personal prejudices out of a thing like this. And no matter where you run into it, prejudice can obscure the truth. Well, I don't think any real harm has been done here, because I don't know what the truth is. No one ever will, I suppose. 9 of us now seem to think that the boy is innocent. We're just gambling on probabilities. We may never know. We may be trying to release a guilty man back into the community. But we now have reasonable doubt. And this is a safeguard that has enormous value in our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We 9 can't understand how you 3 can still be so sure. Maybe you can tell us.
I'll try. You've made some excellent points. The last one, in which you argued that the boy wouldn't have made the kind of overhand stab wound that killed the father, was very persuasive. But I still think the boy's guilty of murder. I have 2 reasons. One, the woman testimony from across the street who actually saw the murder committed.
As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony in the whole case.
And 2, the fact that she described the killing by saying that she saw the boy raise his arm over his head and plunge the knife down into his father's chest. She saw him do it the wrong way.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Now let's talk about this woman for a moment. She said she went to bed around 11 o'clock. Her bed was right next to the window, and while lying down, she could see across the tracks into the boy's window. She tossed and turned for about an hour, unable to fall asleep. And then at 10 minutes after 12, she turned toward the window and saw the killing through the windows of an elevated train. Now, she said the lights went out immediately following the killing, but that she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father. Now, as far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
What do you think? How about you?
I don't know. I mean, there's so much evidence to sift. You know, this is pretty complicated business here.
Honestly, I don't see how you can vote for acquittal.
Well, it's not so easy to arrange the evidence in order.
Oh, you can forget all the other evidence. The woman saw him do it. What else do you want?
maybe.
Let's vote on it.
All right, now the vote's been called for. Anybody object?
Well, look, I'm changing my vote. I think he's guilty.
All right. Anybody else? The vote is 8-4, huh?
Why do you consider this one vote a personal trial?
I'm the competitive type, all right? Well, all right. I say we're a hung jury. Let's take it into the judge.
You didn't want a hung jury before.
Yeah, well, I want it now.
I don't understand that. You thought it was immoral to
Yeah,
do
well,
that.
I don't anymore, all right? There are people in this room who are so goddamn stubborn. We'll never get this thing done. We'll be here for a week. Well, I want to hear an argument, huh? I say we're a hung jury. Well, you're the leader of the cause. What about it?
Let's go over it
Oh,
again.
we went over it and over it. J. Walter Thompson over here is bouncing back and forth like a tennis ball.
Hey, wait a second.
I apologize on my knees. Well, come on. What do you say? Let's take it to the judge.
Maybe we can talk about setting some kind of a time limit. Let's see, the time is
10 after 6.
10 after 6. Someone earlier mentioned something about 7 o'clock. Perhaps that would be a time in which we could begin to discuss whether we're a hung jury. Good.
Excuse me, can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not too clearly, why?
What do you do when you wake up at night and you want to know what time it is?
Strange question. I put on my glasses and look at the clock.
You don't wear your glasses to bed?
No one wears eyeglasses. What's this all about?
The woman who says she saw the killing wears glasses. Well, she wouldn't have worn them to bed, would she?
Wait a minute. She wore glasses?
Yes, of course she did. She wore bifocals. I remember now. They looked quite strong.
That's right, bifocals. She never took them off.
And did wear glasses. I never thought of that.
So then it's logical to say that she wasn't wearing them in bed while she was tossing and turning, trying to fall asleep.
How do you know?
I don't know. I'm just guessing. And I'm also guessing that she probably didn't have them on when she casually turned and looked out the window. And she herself said the killing happened just as she looked out the window and the lights went off a split second later. Well, she couldn't have had time to put on her glasses then.
No, wait a second.
And here's another guess. Maybe the woman honestly believes that she saw the boy stab his father. I say all she saw was a blur. Just a blur.
How do you know what she saw? How does he know these things?
I only know that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She had to identify a person 60 feet away in the dark without glasses.
You can't send someone to die on evidence like that.
Don't give me that.
Isn't it possible the woman made a mistake?
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible?
No, it's not possible.
Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible. I say not guilty.
Do you still think the boy's guilty?
Yes, I think he's guilty. But I couldn't care less. You smart bastards do whatever you want to do.
How do you vote?
Not guilty.
You son of a bitch. I say he's guilty.
Does anyone else still think he's guilty?
No. I'm convinced.
What's the matter with you?
I now have a reasonable doubt.
Well, what about all the other business? What about the knife? What about everything?
You said we could throw out all that other evidence.
11-1.
You're alone.
I don't care if I'm alone or not. It's my right.
It's your right.
Well, what do you want? I say he's guilty.
We want to hear your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
Well, we're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have as much time as it takes.
Everything that was said in that court, and I mean everything, says this boy is guilty. What, do you think I'm an idiot? You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts, you're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. I can stay in this goddamn room for a year.
Somebody say something! The old man, he lived in the building. He heard everything. What about the knife? So he found one that looked just like it. That doesn't prove anything. The old man saw him right there on the stairs. What difference does it make how many seconds it took? You can't prove you didn't get to the door in time. You can stumble around this room all you want. It doesn't prove anything. Everything that was said in this room today has been twisted and turned. The business with the glasses. How do you know she didn't have them on? She testified in court. What do you want? That's it. That's the whole case. Hearing the boy yell, he said, "I'm going to kill you." To his father. His own father. I don't care what kind of a man he was, it was his father. Goddamn rotten kid. I know what they're like, what they do to you, how they kill you every day. My God, why don't you see? Why am I the only one who sees? Jeez, I can feel the knife going in.
It's not your boy. He's somebody else.
Let him live.
All right. Not guilty.
We have a verdict.
All right, gentlemen, take your seats in the jury box.